everybody? This is your boy Sans. We in the building.
Deceptively awesome. My bad.
Deceptively Awesome is here. It's that comic show. We back in the building. Took some time off, but we here. We're here to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is Loki. If we have time for other stuff, we would definitely try to squeeze those things in. But right now, Loki has the spotlight tonight. Man, Loki. First off, let's talk a little bit about the history of Loki. So basically, he's Thor's stepbrother, non-biological brother. Grew up together, God of Mischief. Tom Hiddleston plays this character. He has dominated the role as Loki, one of the best anti-heroes, whatever you want to call them, in the MCU, period, bar none. He's died a couple of times, really switched it up on people. And then he died to the actual villain of the MCU, which was Thanos. So we're seeing Loki as the 2012 version of himself when he was drunk with power and rage against his brother. And yeah. I'm very excited to talk about this, especially with you because of some of the details in Loki, which justifies a lot of movies that have taken place in the MCU. But we can get into that a little deeper as we go along. But your initial reaction is deceptively awesome.
Man, let me see. My initial reaction was, I was confused. Like the trailers had me confused. I'm not gonna lie. And at first I was thinking to myself, is this too much? Are we getting too much? We had WandaVision, then we had Captain America, the Falcon, Winter Soldier. Is it beginning to be too much now, with Loki coming out? And obviously the answer is no. Like, I can't get enough of what Marvel does, you know what I mean? Like, literally, when the show started, the first 30 seconds of the show, I started crying. You want to know why? Because it was 2012. It was Endgame, even though I think they did some reshoots. It was Endgame, but it was also 2012 behind the scenes from the original Avengers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to see that again, honestly, just made me cry. Just to see it, how Marvel just always circled back to. It doesn't give you anything like overtly new, especially to throw you in. It doesn't give you something overtly new. It just it says, okay, remember this place that we were. Remember these feelings that we had, and this moment. This was from the original Avengers, and then we saw that moment again in Endgame. But we kind of saw what happened behind the scenes, which you don't see in movies, obviously. You know what I mean? But you kind of saw what happened behind the scenes, and now it's like a behind the scene, taking that Loki and putting him now into this whole new thing that he's now going to be dealing with. It's just like my initial reaction was just like, man, it's like Marvel's not perfect, but they're damn near close, man.
I have to say my reaction to the entire first episode and even that first 30 minutes where they took us back to Endgame again and what was happening. And I remember watching Endgame and seeing Loki and just kind of seeing them kind of focusing on Loki, especially during everything that's going on. You see Loki noticing Ant-Man. He's looking around. The Tesseract drops in front of him. He doesn't even hesitate to take it and go. And, to see that in Endgame, I said, okay, there's something unresolved with this issue. Because even though they were able to get another Tesseract and go back in time and everything like that and fix it, there was still the question of what happened to Loki and what happened to the Infinity Stone that he took. Yeah. So fast forward, and you see that, immediately when Loki lands in Mongolia and he looks around and he sees the people, he immediately looks for something to stand on to elevate himself higher than the people that's there. Because in his mindset, he is still a god. And I remember him having that kind of conversation with Hulk, like, I am a god, you dull creature. And then, so his mindset is like, yeah, I'm still a god. I am owed a kingdom. So wherever I can find that kingdom, I'm going to make my kingdom. And man, just from that beginning and the entire episode, everything that you knew about the MCU has just been blown up, in my opinion.
You're not lying about that at all. And also too, another I guess another little tidbit is that I don't know, I just kind of like the whole concept of like, while this is happening with Loki, this is also happening on the other side. Because remember, they went back in time to stop Thanos. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you kind of, in the backdrop, it's that going on too. So with Loki leaving, I'm sure we're gonna touch on other things. With Loki leaving, it's kind of in my mind thinking, all right, now is he out of time? I'm thinking he's out of time now, in that sense, where they took him, because to our knowledge, what's happening on Earth in the I guess the new 2012, where now they're trying to stop. It's just like to keep in track and all of this is crazy.
And it's interesting too, because while everything is happening, now we have to look at it like, all right, so this is still 2012. So we're not even close to the future of Marvel. So everything that's going on right now is before, everything that took place in the MCU. So let's skip a little bit. So this is where Loki is talking with Owen Wilson's character, and he's in the room in Mobius. And the cool thing is with that scene is that they literally catch it, like that Loki is caught up to where his future self ends. So you don't need to really explain anything to him. And he goes through all the emotions of what happens. So Frigga dying, Odin dying, him dying. So he witnessed everything, him reconciling with Thor. Everything works out. And I'm just like, yo, that's real deep. And seeing him go through those transformations, because remember, this is a Loki that didn't go through those transformations as we saw it on the screen. And now he went through all of those transformations. So
I don't think it was just that alone that transformed him, really. I think it was what happened before that, right? Okay. Because seeing everything just kind of doubled down, but something happened before that. And that scene, to me, I had so much mixed emotions.
Okay.
Are we going to jump right into spoiler? Oh, I guess we are jumping into spoilers.
Yeah. This is for those who are watching the broadcast or rebroadcast. This is a spoiler heavy episode. So spoiler heavy. Let's get right into it. So what did you want to say?
So the part that had me with mixed emotions when Loki was in that office and the guy handed him Tesseract and he opened the drawer and it was just nothing but paperweights.
everything. That's why I said everything blew up.
I think that right there alone crushed him, in a sense of it kind of reaverted his mindset. It made him say to himself, wait a minute, what? You know what I mean? It basically shattered his mind at that point in time. I think so. Seeing that, the Infinity Stones, something that we all, this was the thing that just led everything in Marvel. You know what I mean? This was like the MacGuffin, if you will, and it was everything was on these stones. Thanos, one of the most powerful beings that we've been introduced to, is searching for these stones. Nobody can hold these stones. These stones are destroying planets, breaking up moons, snapping away half of existence to be reverted to paperweight to these guys. I think when he saw that moment, that's what made him say, I got to go back and see how my life really played out, because now I believed it. And when he saw how his life played out, I think that sped him up to where we are, where the Loki would be if he wasn't killed by Thanos.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too. At the end of that, Loki says, The lady says, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Glorious purpose." Like he came to that realization, very similar to Thanos. When Thanos saw the end of his life, and what did he say? He turned around and he said, "You know, promise fulfilled." So it's like they are, their level of villainy is at such a high degree that is not like a regular villain, like, you know, around the mill type of villain. Their understanding is so high, and they are like, yeah, I've served a greater purpose. What I did wasn't evil. I had to serve this purpose. And for Loki, his purpose was to literally fulfill whatever destiny he wanted to fulfill.
Yeah.
The paperweights. When I saw that scene, I kind of slumped in my seat a little bit, and I was like,
me too.
I was like, wow. Just when you thought that Marvel couldn't raise the bar, because now you say to yourself, all right, Thanos was the big bad, the Infinity Stones was the greatest power in the universe. Where do we go from here? And they literally just showed you, yeah, like, if you thought that this was the greatest power in the universe, they're paperweights compared to what we have
compared to other people. Yeah.
Because so that's how I saw it. I saw it as Marvel was saying, yeah, this is what we have in store, and yeah, these paperweights, yeah, that's how low level these Infinity Stones are compared to the real big baddies and the real threats of the universe. So,
and you know what's funny too?
Yeah.
I think I heard this once. Or I was looking at something, and someone raised a good point that I think the Infinity Stones being in the drawer too was a nod to us saying, we're not going, we're moving on from them. Like, you know how we have our junk drawers, you know what I mean, in our own houses, and we just put stuff in there. We're like, all right, whatever, we get around to it. We don't get back to it, whatever case may be. It was kind of like Marvel saying it to us as fans, like, we're moving on to other things. We're not diminishing what these stood for in the last 10, 11 years, but we got more things in store that we want to now push these aside, make these obsolete. We're moving on from the blip. We're moving on from those other areas now that got us here to something greater and better.
You know, it's interesting too. These Disney shows are designed to help us move away from the blip, to help us move away from Thanos, to help us move away from the Infinity Stones. Like with WandaVision, you know, everything that took place in WandaVision happened after the blip, when everybody came back and everybody's trying to get back into civilization, everybody's trying to get back into real life. Same thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That entire series took place after the blip. They're not even mentioning, you know, oh, well, they hinted here and there like, okay, well, you know, Thanos and all that stuff, but they moved on from that. Loki literally told you, yeah, this is what we think of these Infinity Stones. And you're like, yeah, guys get them all the time. Yeah, some of us use it as paperweights. Yeah. Like, the fact that you got them all the time, that opens up a whole nother bag of worms to say, well, who did they confiscate them from?
Yeah.
You know? Did they confiscate them from other Lokis? Other people who may have used the stones over the years? Have the stones strategically been placed? And when someone goes off the deviant path, off the sacred timeline, they just confiscate the stone, put them back in, delete the entire timeline, and keep it going? You know, all these questions now. And it's almost as if everything is irrelevant outside of the TVA. Because what's happening in the TVA is what's really going on in the universe, as opposed to what we witness on Earth. So it kind of makes the movie, I don't know if it makes the movies kind of like, okay, this is kind of beneath us now, because like I want to know what's going on up here, you know. but Marvel did a good job in still interweaving the fact that there are some great powers at work here, but we still live on Earth, so we still got to deal with the issues that's going on Earth and in our universe, you know.
Yeah, the current issues and stuff like that. Yeah, they got with that. What you about to say?
I was going to ask you. So I got really excited when when Loki is standing in line and they play that video and everything like that, and then the lady was like, you know, a long time ago there was a war. There was a multiverse war, and the time people came and put everything back in order and everything like that. Time Guardians, and then they said and when branches start to happen, it creates a madness of multiverse.
Multiverses, yeah.
Basically, they just told you like, Doctor Strange is moving now.
It's gonna be that.
Are we gonna get Doctor Strange at the end of Loki?
I still don't think we're gonna see Doctor Strange at all.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like Marvel always subvert our expectations anyway. So I personally would love to see Doctor Strange, or I would be expecting to see Doctor Strange, but Marvel doesn't usually go with the fan route anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking though that it was a nod to let us know that his movie is going to be whatever that war was for that time. I think his movie is going to be that, and so. I think it was a good way of just tying it in, because I think one thing that the movies or that the TV shows haven't done was really tie into what they're going to do in the movie realm of things.
Right.
Because I didn't get that message from Captain. I mean, we do know these things are going to trickle over the events that happen in the shows, but I don't get the vibe of like Captain America, Winter Soldier pointing to any particular movie, or even WandaVision really pointing to any particular movie directly. This one basically said Doctor Strange directly,
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like, okay, so now it's like, now they're bringing the shows. I feel like this Loki is going to bring the shows more into the movie realm of things now. And then that's when we're going to kick off in the movie, stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think Doctor Strange is going to show up though.
I believe Doctor Strange will show up. Okay. I believe what's going to happen. I think, and we'll talk about this, our speculation for who the villain is. But I think the main villain is who's causing a lot of the madness. And I think that the villain that's doing all of these things is what's going to cause this multiverse of madness. And the madness of this multiverse is going to take everything that Marvel once had in different studios and bring it all together. So the X-Men, I think he's going to pull the X-Men in. I think he's going to pull Fantastic Four in, but it's not going to be the same actor, just the property. I think it's going to be a mashup of everything. I think everything is going to be brought in, and then they're going to do spin-off movies to explain what they were doing on these different Earths, as opposed to just introducing them to this Earth. So that's what I think is going to happen. So I think Doctor Strange is going to be there at the end. And because he's already dealt with Loki in the past from Ragnarok, so they've already dealt with each other. They know each other, and I think that this is the time. And I think that what's going to happen is that when Doctor Strange comes in, he's already in the middle of the madness. So it's going to be like he's already going to be like Loki, I need your help or something. But he's already going to be in the middle of it. That's what I think.
Okay. That's interesting. I guess I guess you're talking about the last episode then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Towards the last episode, I think that's what's going to happen. Because I mean, for them to make that mention, and for Doctor Strange's title to be Multiverse of Madness, it's like and Marvel never does that. They're very subtle with how they do things. So, it's interesting to me that they were just like boop. Just drop it like that. So,
what if they bring back Mordok, and he's actually the villain that's helping these alternate versions of Loki to try to get rid of sorcerers?
Oh, you mean Mordu?
Oh, Mordu, not Mordok. Sorry, Mordu.
I was like Mordok. I was like, because I was like the big giant dude. I was like, what do you got to do? What do you got to do with anything?
All right. That'd be interesting. That'd be like, okay.
I'll be like, all right.
Yeah,
make it make sense.
Yeah, right. No, I do agree with you that they probably will have someone from Doctor Strange. I don't know if it's gonna be Doctor Strange himself though, but yeah, it'd be a good call for them to do that. But I don't know. I definitely know that these villains are all different versions of Loki, like the one at the end, who I think is a female Loki that set fire to the field.
I don't think it's a female Loki.
No. Okay.
So
what's your spec on that?
I think it's Wanda. I think the person that they're looking for, they're trying to find, is Wanda.
And
I think she is going back in time to look for her children.
Whoa.
Because her children, because at the end of it, she was in the Darkhold, and she could hit the children. So she's looking for them throughout the multiverse. And the multiverse, based on what we're seeing in TVA, that time is all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think she's a nexus being.
Yeah.
This outside of the boundaries. So I think the person that we're looking for, and everybody's saying, "Oh, it's going to be the female Loki." I think it's going to be Wanda, and that's why there's a multiverse of madness, and that's why Doctor Strange has to come in, because he's the source of the.
Yeah, that just gave me chills, man. Because I'm like, yo, that would be so dope. No, my drop. That'd be fire, yo. Honestly, I haven't heard that yet at all as any idea, but yo, that would make a lot of sense. And she's the one that's doing all these ripples effects in the time.
I'm gonna post that right after.
Yeah, man, you need to post that. So, Marvel might try to silence you.
You gonna see people
the helicopters over your head.
Like, really? Right. I don't even work for y'all, but I could work for y'all. I'm already wearing the shirt, so might as well. Yeah, but like I was thinking about it because so just like you, I was watching everybody's Easter eggs and stuff like that, and everybody's saying, there's a female Loki and everything like that. That in the comic books and all that stuff, and it kind of parallels to the fact there's a female Thor coming up in Love and Thunder. So that kind of parallels it and everything like that, which I get. But if we're looking at it from a perspective of storytelling, I mean, I think that it will be a great story to tell, that she's out here looking for her children, and every time she pops up somewhere, they pop up as well, because they're like, yo, you're not part of this timeline, and what you're doing is affecting the timeline. And she's like, she's more powerful than them, so it's not like they can stop her. So she just takes up whatever it is that they're about to reset the timeline. She just takes it up and she says, no, because by you doing it, you're keeping me away from my children. Yeah. So that's my speculation when it comes to that.
That's dope. And it's funny. I don't know. You might be onto something, man, because especially with them dropping the Nexus name, you know what I mean? And
a lot of things are subtle, but a lot of things are on the nose when it comes to Marvel.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's true. That's just where I am when it comes to that. I just think that we're gonna see this play out, and it's finally gonna come to a head when it comes to Doctor Strange's movie, which is next year. So we still got a ways to go, and I think all these other movies coming out are just going to be set up not for that movie, but just to like kind of get our minds off of what's really going on, the looming threat and stuff like that. Real quick, I just want to double check, when does Doctor Strange's movie come out? Just double check that. All right, so that's next year. Next year for sure. So, so there was something I mentioned before, as it relates to an appreciation, and you could still hold your ground when it comes to that, but Thor 2, man.
Yeah, what about it?
Thor 2 was heavily used throughout the first part of this episode. It ended on a lot of stuff with Thor 2.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying it may have been a bad movie, but as you look at it, when it plays to the overall story, you needed that story. Frigga had to die. It spent a good time talking about, will Loki come into the realization that he caught He talks to his father. You get the relationship between him and Frigga. You know, like all these different things that took place during that movie. You know, even I went back and I watched the movie again, and it was talking about the convergence, like the convergence of how this thing happens at once every 5,000 years. Is like you think about it, like you know, so the TVA has to know about this too, and they allowed all the events to take place the way that it took place. So I mean, what do you think, man? Yeah. You hate that movie. Hate that movie's guts.
You know what's funny? Marvel has done so much. I wasn't even thinking about that honestly when I was watching the episode. I was like, it is what it is. I mean, yes, like I will always say, Thor 2 is the bottom of the barrel to me. Wow. You know, but the bottom of the barrel is like what, a C plus. You know what I mean, for Marvel. So it's not like it's a terrible movie or something like that. It's just like, I don't know. That's the only Marvel movie I fell asleep in. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I fell asleep like halfway through and stuff like that. But
have you watched it since?
I've watched bits and pieces of it since. No, I mean, I do want to maybe do another sit down from that movie and maybe see it from a different lens now, because then it was just like I just thought it was unnecessary. But seeing a lot of things play off from it is an important movie at the end of the day. So and also it was that movie that made them course direct, change directions for Thor's personality and everything. So that movie needed to happen, honestly, to get the Thor we have now. That's so true. I mean, it does have its pros and cons. I'm not gonna beat it over the head anymore.
And you know what? To be fair to the conversation, Shang-Chi, I'm gonna watch it, because if that movie does what Loki is I hope is doing, that might change my perspective when it comes to Iron Man 3.
True.
So you never know. You never know. What the way Marvel is moving right now, Marvel is making it so difficult to criticize what they're doing. And for those who will criticize Marvel and will look for ways to criticize, like they are like reaching. At this point, you are reaching embarrassingly. Yeah, you're reaching, because it's like what you had, the beef that you had with Marvel back in 2002, 2012, 13, and all that stuff. They're literally rectifying it, and they're doing it in such a way as if it was all part of the plan from before.
Yeah.
Like they're doing it, so it's almost like you're watching it and you're just like, oh, okay. Oh wow, they meant to do that, because look, they're paying it off right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I ain't gonna go that route and say it was part of the plan, because even Kevin Feige said there's certain things he necessarily didn't sign off on. He wasn't really up in anybody's face and hands on like that kind of director or anything like that. So, I do think they have some mishaps. I mean, of course, they were just trying to figure out the universe. I don't blame anything from phase 1 or 2, because I think they were still trying to figure out the universe and get it going. But they had a lot of success, even in the movies that weren't critically acclaimed or anything like that, like Iron Man 3. Although Iron Man 3 didn't do well critically, I mean, it did well in the box office. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I do think that they're now saying, okay, we know we're going more so now than ever. So we are going to kind of rectify certain things. We are going to kind of retcon certain things. Like I read that Spider-Man movie is going to retcon Spider-Man 3. So that could bring in the traditional Venom. That could bring in, other. They could have a Sandman come back. I think Sandman is one of the best villain. Not even the villain, but he was one of the best characters in all of Marvel. I think not all of Marvel, but that universe. Sandman was one of the best. Okay.
I was just about to ask, you mean from Spider-Man 3?
From Spider-Man 3, yeah, he was the best part of it, in my opinion. Like they didn't need whatever knockoff Goblin they had, and they didn't need Venom really if it wasn't going to do him right. I don't think Sony's Venom is even right in my opinion, but I think it's better than what we've ever had. So, but yeah, so I think they are going to try to retcon certain those movies, bring them together, like you said. We don't know who's going to come from what now, because I think everybody, in my opinion, I'm recognizing that a lot of actors want to be under Marvel's umbrella, and even Hugh Jackman, we're seeing his name getting tossed around so many times for being Wolverine, And honestly, I don't necessarily want him to be Wolverine the whole time, but I would feel a little robbed if he wasn't Wolverine at least once. If they can get J. Jonah Jameson to reprise his role, J.K. Simmons to reprise his role as J. Jonah, I don't see why they can't get Wolverine in one timeline incident or something, even if he's not in the whole universe. Maybe older Wolverine meets the younger Wolverine and he hands off the mantle and there's two different actors, whatever, because I do want to see Hugh Jackman in that role, and I want to see Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, you know what I mean? Like they're under a different umbrella now, a different head. So it's kind of like I kind of want to see what Marvel would do with these actors who played the role really well.
I think the issue with Hugh Jackman coming back is the fact that we had Logan as a movie. I think Logan as a movie to me was like the final end to that character. Now, when you say if we were to go back in time and do like a timeline thing, if we were to even show because there was this meme that I thought was really good, where it showed Captain America running side by side with Wolverine in one of the wars, and I thought that was a real good way to kind of put him in there, and maybe everything that's going on, Captain America is focused on Red Skull, while Wolverine could have been focused on saving somebody that what's his name Zoloff was experimenting on, and whoever he was experimenting on was probably a mutant. That would make sense. So we didn't see that timeline story or that particular story because we're focused on the main star here. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about fan service. Like I don't want to. It doesn't have to make sense. I'm not talking about that's what I was saying. Like I don't want to be in there the whole time, but just to say yeah, he's finally in. He's home now, and now we're gonna get rid of him. We're gonna kill him off or whatever they do with him. And also, I mean, it's gonna be for me. They're gonna have to pull X-Men from another universe because a lot of their stories are told even before they became X-Men, even before they had their mutant powers. I mean, Wolverine always had the healing factor and stuff like that. And
hundreds.
Yeah. You know what?
Like he's been alive since the 1800s.
Yeah, and he's been alive since the 1800s. So, and then you have what you call it, Apocalypse, from Egyptian time. You know what I mean? Thousands of years ago. So, I don't want them to just kind of eliminate that and to say, oh, this all happened because of Wanda or blah, blah, blah. Like they got to make sense of bringing those two worlds together because I think a lot of their past history ties into who they are as a character. And I definitely, especially like Cyclops, obviously my favorite. He has a whole backstory. His father has a whole backstory. So it's like if they just say, oh, his parents were dormant and this happened, and it takes away from the potential of all that stuff, and the Phoenix Force that kind of dies away with it, So these stuff have to coexist in some kind of way. So hopefully the multiverse of madness makes it all make sense.
I feel as though that I think the idea that you're saying makes the best sense when it comes to introducing the mutants. I think the multiverse of madness has to be able to show that. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, the TVA could just be BS.
No, I was gonna get to that. We didn't talk about the TVA, but I'm like they're all BS. But
okay. Because I was saying
yeah, go ahead.
I was saying all right, they're saying that there's a sacred timeline. All right, cool. I feel as though with the multiverse theory, the multiverse basically says that there are other universes that are currently happening the same time our universe is happening. So the current timeline, and I think somebody said it in one of the YouTubers. They said that this is Earth 9999 or something like that, and we're not Earth 616. So 616 is a different universe altogether. But that's the true Marvel universe, and the MCU is supposed to be 09999. That's what someone mentioned something to that effect. I
Yeah,
don't think,
I think that's wrong. I think they're wrong though. 'Cause I think this is a 616 universe.
right, because of what Selvig had in
Yeah,
Thor
and I think the
Dark World.
yeah,
On,
and I
on,
think there was an Easter egg too. I think in Loki there was an Easter egg. I think I saw the number 616 somewhere.
okay,
Don't quote me on it. I gotta go back. Maybe I should do a second watching of it. But it was like I think this is that timeline.
right.
You know what I mean? Because they said, remember when Loki dipset, he wasn't supposed to. You know what I mean? From the original timeline. So I think this is the 616 timeline, and all these others are different branches of timeline. But
Before you
yeah,
continue,
mm,
now Red Skull did the same thing. Red Skull touched the Tesseract, and it sent him into space.
yeah, but
So
not a different. Okay.
I'm thinking,
No, but
what I'm
go
thinking
ahead.
is that the same thing happened to Red Skull, where he ended up somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. And for his punishment, after standing trial, his punishment was to guard the space stone. I'm not sorry, the soul stone.
Mm.
That's what I
That is
think.
that is a good possibility, unless in Endgame, I'm not sure, but unless in Endgame or not Endgame, Infinity War, I don't know if he stated that it brought him here. I remember him stating that. Unless maybe he did, if he didn't state it, then yeah, I think that's actually a
He said,
possibility.
he said, hold on, let me think.
I know you've seen the movie like
Said,
a thousand
I've been
times.
here guiding people to a treasure that I cannot possess.
Yeah.
So that's basically the gist of what he said. He said,
But,
like, I even held an Infinity Stone. I even held it in my hand. So he mentioned that too. So
yeah.
I mean, why would the stone send him there? And then when Loki did the same thing, which Loki, for all sense, was evil, just like Red Skull. So they both had evil intentions. He should have
Yeah.
just been sent to the same
I,
exact place.
exactly. And you know what's funny? I think that well maybe not so much sent to the same exact place, only because I think your theory makes a little more sense because since Loki's like a god, he can kind of use the powers a lot better than Red Skull could have. So maybe
That's
he
true
kind of
too.
knew how to use it properly and stuff like
That's
that.
true too.
But I do think, to your point, I do think the TVA is a bunch of BS because I think what happened with Thanos was supposed to happen. I think they probably say that to Loki to make them feel like, because I mean they got stones in their drawers. Imagine a guy coming around and snapping half of existence away. You know what I mean? Like why would they necessarily allow that type of thing? And so I feel like I don't know. They say it was a part of the plan, but it's kind of like, okay, so why is it okay for the Avengers to do it? Why is it okay for, oh, because it's part of the plan? No, BS. I think they just kind of was like, they had their hands tied up, and they figured, and since he saw that the Avengers would figure it out, they just allowed it to happen. But it wasn't the original plan, I don't think.
I believe you. I believe you. That's why I think the TVA is a bunch of bull. Because like it to me, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to just like the Infinity Gauntlet in Ragnarok, the gauntlet that was sitting in Odin's vault, and Hela just knocked it over, fake and all that stuff. Like just to kind of discredit it, to say like, oh, okay, well, that there's powers in the universe that supersede that sort of power.
Yeah.
And man, to me, it doesn't make sense that they would allow something to that effect to happen, and for the Avengers to go back in time to rectify it, knowing that that anything could have easily happen, to the ripples and the branches of reality. And granted, they may have said, okay, well, they're going to be able to defeat Thanos, and then Steven Rogers is going to go and put everything back to the way it was. But then Steven Rogers stayed in his time in a different timeline altogether. So
Yeah.
granted,
Well,
they're kind of mixed on that. They said the directors and the producers are mixed on that, to say the Russo brothers said that when he lived in this timeline, and when he went back and stayed with Carter, that means that it was just a different timeline that he lived, and then when he jumped back to meet Sam, everything kind of just disappeared. While the producers are saying like, no, he's lived in the current universe the entire time.
yeah, and he allowed all those atrocities to happen.
And he allowed everything that,
Because
because
he
I
allowed
mean,
everything to happen.
because at the end of the
Well,
day, even though I think Steven Rogers as a character would want to do something, he also knows that there's a greater good that needs to take place, and if he was to step in, there would be no need for any Avengers. And maybe he had to work in the shadows, while the Avengers, created themselves and all that good stuff. I don't know.
And who knows? And then there's that thing going around saying that Peggy Carter was in Loki in the background.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Which it did look a lot like her outfit that she was wearing at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Chris. You said what?
But why though? Like I saw that and I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, for what purpose?
But because what's his name might be standing trial. So Captain America might be standing trial at that point in time. So then she's coming in as a witness, or maybe they feel like she's involved somehow. And so that could be where he ends up in a certain timeline, you know what I mean? Okay. While going back or something like that. So
that's not a bad
that'd be real deep. Yeah, that'd be real deep.
Yeah, because like he's there, he's standing trial, and she's there to vouch for his character.
Vouch for him, yeah.
Outside of the Avengers, because obviously they're going to, but she only knew him for a couple months.
Yeah, so he's not on the moon. And that's what I'm thinking, like, what if he's not on the moon? That's where he's at. He's over there at the TVA.
Yo, that's so true. What if he's not on the moon? Yeah. He's been there the entire time.
He's there that entire time. Standing trial, yeah.
You know what? So Marvel has a lot of movies coming out that's going to be touching on this There's this cosmic area for the Eternals. That movie is coming out, and that's supposed to be talking about how they've been around on Earth, not interceding on anything that's going on. This TVA, like this is a very important series, and they've been saying, even Kevin Feige said that Loki is going to. The Loki series is going to change everything in the Marvel. That's what he said. So basically, what we're seeing here is supposed to be, this goes above and beyond anything that we can comprehend from the MCU. And when you think about stuff like that, it's kind of like the Bible, which is weird. But hear me out. Like there's certain stories in the Bible. And there's certain understanding of the Bible that we will never understand now in our human form. We just don't have the comprehension for it. And once our brains are opened up and our minds are opened up, then we'll understand more of the content from the Bible. So I look at it like that when it comes to this particular series. Like there's so many different things that we do not know anything about, because we haven't even touched it yet. Like there are entities that we haven't even been introduced to, because we're still on Infinity Stones. Like we are literally about to step into a realm where the stuff on Earth, I mean, do we really care? Do we really care what's going on? And I think that might be a service to the rest to the Earthbound heroes, like Black Widow. It's like,
well, her movie's a little too late. Like that's just, I mean, it looks great though. It looks phenomenal, but it's just like I don't care. Honestly, I don't care.
Like what are you like? Even Shang-Chi, like I'm like, okay, it'll be good, but I'm like, I want to see the Eternals. I want to see that because they're talking about a higher form of power, beyond what we've dealt with. Even Spider-Man, I got to see a trailer for Spider-Man to really get more pumped for it.
Yeah, but even then, like all the shows, it's happening. Was happening currently. Even all the movies, Multiverse of Madness, even Spider-Man's movie, it is all going to touch on what we're doing now currently.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, it could, but I'm like, that should have been Spider-Man. That should have been Iron Man 3 right there. I mean, you're going to try to fix that again. I mean, all right, you made a mistake. We're past that now. I don't really want to. I mean, the Ten Rings was good for that time, but now we're going back to it, And then also with Black Widow, is like, okay, she's dead. There's not much story you can do there. I don't want to see a bunch of prequels. You know what I mean? So, I mean, those movies should have, I don't know, they should have came out earlier time, went straight to Disney Plus, something like that.
Something.
But,
It's hard,
something.
it's
But
hard now because, like, where do you
hard
go
now,
from
yeah.
here? When it
Yeah.
comes to that, like Loki, the first episode got the highest views of any Marvel related Disney Plus show. It beat out, and as it should. And I was talking to someone. I said the trajectory of what Marvel has done just speaks to how good they are,
The
because
craft. Yeah.
WandaVision starts off here,
Mhm.
and Captain America: Winter Soldier that brought it up. So your trajectory should always go up.
Yeah.
That just
So
means
then,
that like the series are so good that it gets you pumped for the next series. Because okay, well, what are we going to get in this series?
yeah.
And then Loki, what are we going to get in this series?
Hmm. So that actually leads me to a question for you.
Yeah.
Which one do you think was the best pilot episode out of the three? So WandaVision, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Loki. Which one made you say, this is it? Like, this is the best one?
Wow. Damn, that's a good one. I have to go with WandaVision. And the reason why I'm going with WandaVision, and it's really between WandaVision and Loki. That drawer scene just it messed my mind up. It really messed my mind up when it comes to the universe. Just seeing that, I was like, I mean, they legit have Infinity Stones sitting inside the drawer. But when it comes to WandaVision, I knew WandaVision was I knew what happened to the two characters. I knew that Vision is dead and Wanda was alive. So to see them in this sitcom, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, she's lost her mind. She's creating it. I knew that. And then to show somebody in the back end of it, like kind of write notes and watching it on the TV with us, that got me really intrigued. Because then I said, okay, I was like, oh, well, who is this watching WandaVision? My speculation was just going crazy. With Loki, I don't need to speculate. I'm not speculating as much because they pretty much just kind of told me, hey, this is where Loki is. This is what he's doing, and then we have a masked person at the end of the show, and he said that the person that we're chasing is you, but again, is it really him?
Yeah.
I just think it's weird that they would release and tell you who the villain is, and is a variant of Loki. I don't think that's the case. I think they're lying to Loki to get Loki involved. So, and then Captain America, Winter Soldier. I mean, that was really. I mean, it was a good first episode, but if I'm being honest, I really don't remember it too much.
Yeah.
So that just says it took a while to kind of build up, but yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this too, and I have to agree with you. I think WandaVision to me was the best one, only because it was just so out. It was so out there. The first episode was just so out there, and I liked it because not only does it fit her character or her story, her realm of things, it just was a break from the main storyline. It was a break. It was literally like we're watching a sitcom, like I'm watching the Avengers, and I say, all right, WandaVision's on now, so I'm gonna go watch WandaVision. You know what I mean? Like it just felt different. So I liked it for that reason, because it was a break from the like what we were used to see what someone else is going through. Well, Wanda, especially out of all people, and then Vision, and then all the other stuff that happened within it, I think also helped me to like the first episode a lot more, because it was just like so out there, and I kept watching certain parts over and over again because it was just so ridiculous. And then how we kind of knew where they were going to start from. They started from like in the 50s and 60s kind of style of shows, I Love Lucy, them stuff. And then especially when they did the Malcolm in the Middle one, I love that episode only because I was a big fan of Malcolm in the Middle. So it
looking right at the camera.
Yeah, like everything, yeah. And then even with Vision, he's like, "What am I even doing here?" And his interview process and stuff like that. I thought it was amazing. So the first episode to me had a beat, but like you said, I think Loki kind of brought us back. I think the first two Disney Plus shows kind of took us away from the main story, but then this one has said, okay, now we're getting ready to go back into that main storyline where we're gonna have you guys drawn into. So definitely Loki's definitely number two. Like you said, Captain America, even though it was great, I think Loki has a beat.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Because again, we are, they brought us back to 2012, and that's where everything happened. That's where everything began, or yeah, in a way, everything began
Yeah.
for the universe. We finally saw Thanos. We saw who the bad villain was going to be. We saw there was two Infinity Stones, which at the time some of us didn't even know that the Mind Stone was involved in that. So everything pretty much started, in my opinion, in 2012.
Yeah.
So it was good for them to kind of go back and for them to take the time to be like, this is what's happening right now. Let's catch you guys up. Let's catch up Loki to where it is. He died. Now he saw his death and everything like that. And it was funny. During that scene when he was watching his death, he was proud at first. You noticed him, like when he tried to stab Thanos. He was smiling. He was like, like I did something, righteous. And then he's watching, and it's like he's watching it with us. And then the snap, I think they over exaggerated that neck snap because it was not that intense.
Well, to him, imagine seeing that in the future of yourself. Of course, it'd be intensified.
So that solidified. That actually solidified to us that Loki did in fact die. Because a lot of people was just saying, "Oh yeah, it could have been one of his. He could have been doing the same thing he did in Dark World and everything like that, where he pretend he died." And like Loki himself was watching it. So that solidified the fact that he did die.
No, not just that. It was also when you saw end of file. That made you realize. That made you say, "Okay, yeah, he was dead." that they're bringing that one back, but that one died.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. Like, yeah, that's his end. And he even asked, like, I can't go back to my time. Because like even if they put him back in the time, he's dead.
Yeah.
So and
or he will die.
That's crazy. That means that where he is, Endgame has already happened.
Yeah.
He's already seen Endgame. So we're already past. So it's not even the events are going on during 2012. The events are happening after 2012.
Or the events are happening all over time, because I think he's out of time, and wherever he is, I think he's out of time. And I think, and also when they're doing the cutbacks where it's like, they're going to 1855 and they jump into this other time, it's like I think he's just out of time, and all these things are going to be placing in certain points in time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think so being out of time, he can see what's going to happen to the Avengers, to everything being out of time. But once they insert him back in time, he's going to be in a certain place. So if they insert him back into whatever year it was, 2023 or whatever year it was, he's done for. I don't know if it's going to be like a double, you know what I mean, or it's going to be put back into his consciousness in that time, like kind of like a Days of Future Past scenario with Wolverine. But yeah, I mean he's out of time. So that Loki. It is weird because that Loki's now is gone. So then he went back in time to get the Tesseract again, which then put another Loki in that place, which is that Loki that would die, I guess. But
and if you think about it as well, there's a lot of ripples that are happening right now that we're not talking about. So Gamora, she's a ripple. She's a variant. Because that's not the same Gamora. That Gamora died in Infinity War. And now she's living. She's living back from 2014. She's now living in the future. So she's a variant of what's going on. I think who else? Well, well, no, because he's. I was gonna say Vision, but he's an AI, so I get like yeah. So I think he's the exception or something to that effect.
Well, maybe because remember that ship of Theseus point. You know what I mean? Is he the? I mean, what? Which version of Vision is he the real Vision? Because technically, he is the Vision. You know what I'm saying? But
True.
you know, they replaced so much of him. Is he even the Vision anymore at that point? So I don't know. He could be, but then again, he's a robot, so I don't know if they're doing like variants in
I don't know.
AIs and stuff like that.
But man, it's still like when you think about it, man. Marvel has proven time and time again that their ideas and the way that they present these comic book theories and stories in their live action, bar none, like no one is able. Okay, like no one is able to reach that level. Like at least not right now.
Mm.
Like I'm thinking about it like they are literally the top of their game, and they don't. There's no fatigue. There's no fatigue when it comes to them.
Yeah, and that's what makes me hate DC even more. Like, each time Marvel's doing something good, my hate for DC is getting even more like rekindled. It might die down and it gets rekindled, then it dies down, and then Snyder comes out with his movie, then it gets rekindled. It is like, it's just like
I don't care about. I don't care about Wrath of the Gods with Shazam. I don't care about that. Like I don't care about the movies you guys have. None of them are like. None of them.
I
don't feel like
I care about
the universe forward.
It's funny. I care about those movies which don't have the core Justice League in them, which is kind of like a bummer because you want to have good Justice League movies. You want to have good Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman movies, Flash movies. You want to have good movies of those characters, but it's like I don't care about any of those movies with those characters. I care about Shazam out of all people. I care about Black Adam that's coming out of all people. So you know what I mean? I mean, like they just read up the ball, and Marvel is just showing them that it can be done. Even if you don't have to do it the way Marvel done it either. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways you could tell a good story, but your first and foremost thing is you have to love the property. If you don't love the property and want to kind of retell these stories, then you've kind of already shot yourself in the foot. You want to take characters that we grew up with in a certain mindset, and you want to deconstruct them before you even establish them to what we can know. So there's something to deconstruct from. You know what I mean? Like Superman in this version never wanted to save people to begin with. So it's kind of like, and he doesn't all throughout the whole series, So it's kind of like at least get into the point where he loves saving people, then he don't. Get Batman to the point where he's not killing people, and then he does. You know what I'm saying? Like go from somewhere, but they're not doing it that way, and Marvel's doing it. Like Loki seeing the Infinity Stones in the drawer crushed everything he was motivated towards.
Yes,
like that. Not only did we see the Loki that we saw from the movies grow and develop, now we're seeing this one within a matter of 20 or however minutes of the show develop into a whole new Loki. You know what I'm saying? Develop a whole new kind of mind frame.
Yeah.
It's like easy. That's like that's so.
You said it perfectly.
They make it look so easy.
You said it perfectly because all he cared about when he came up to that dude, he was like, give me the Tesseract. He's like, oh, you mean that blue thing, that little blue box you had? Yes. And he was like, oh, it's in here. Opened it up. He took it. He was like, yes. And then he looked down. He was like, in that moment, we could all understand that. It's like I would never forget this scene. This scene that was in Dark Knight Return. Oh no, Dark Knight. The Dark Knight. When Alfred was talking to Batman about Joker, he said some people don't want anything logical. in life. Like some people just want to watch the world burn. We told the story about the thief that were stealing rubies, like valuable and priceless rubies. And as he was stealing them, he was throwing them away. So now these people, they're coming in and they're trying to find these rubies, and they're doing they're spending all this money and expense to find these rubies and to search for these rubies, and then they're looking at kids playing with the rubies as if it's a ball, and they're tossing it to each other, playing, and then they pick it up, and he says, "This is the rubies that we've been looking for," and this child is playing with them as if it's a toy, to go to show that the thief, he didn't care for it. There was no value in it. Like it was no longer a sport. For Loki, it was no longer a sport. Once, like you said, once that draw, the Tesseract was garbage.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Like this is supposed to be the great power. And granted, he has not seen the Infinity Gauntlet yet at that point. The only thing he saw, that I think that scene happened. Yeah, that scene happened after he saw his death, I believe.
Yeah.
So he only saw Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but he didn't see him at his full power. And even then, he was confused as to why the Avengers went back in time. He thought that they went back in time to stop him, because he even said like, "Oh, was the Avengers one?" I assume they went back in time to stop me from my conquest. So he thought he won, and he was unaware that it was Thanos they were going back to stop. So it's the series is amazing. I encourage anybody who's watching to go watch it. And it's on Wednesday, which is a very weird day to have it. But I get why they do it. I think Travis, you froze up. Okay.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you good. But listen, man, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna get out of here. Travis, where can people find you, man?
Yeah, man. Instagram, Deceptively Awesome. The name is right there. You got.
Uh-oh.
Did I cut out again?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, all right. Well, it just cut my mic off, I guess. So.
Yeah, you can find me, Sam's Brego, Instagram, the both of us brothers who break from the TV show Lego Master. Bro, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on, talking about this. And until next time.
Until next time, second episode. See what they got cooking for us.
That's it. All right, bro. See you soon, man.
Bro. Yeah, man. Later.